Hello and welcome on into the very first episode of the New World Top 5 Fights. This is a fully community-driven series where you guys send in your fights, we throw some commentary over top, and we get to enjoy those awesome PvP moments together. I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has sent in clips for this first episode. Of course, everyone featured in today's episode will have a link to their YouTube and Twitch channels down below, so be sure to check out all of these New World content creators. And if you want to send in your own clip for the top 5, you can send that to Kristofer at pvpnewworld.com. And without further ado, let's get right into these fights. So starting us off today, we've got TreeLover69, and he's playing some Ice Gauntlet Rapier, finding himself getting jumped by a bunch of purple players, I believe as he's out doing the PvP quests by Windsward. And the purple players are chasing him hard. He's already had to do quite a bit of defensive gameplay, doing a great job utilizing that light dodge roll to break distance from these guys, goes into the entomb there just to tank out the damage from these three players, and all of them have got great axes and hammers. They're all trying to charge towards him. A beautiful snare there with the ice shower catching every single player, and TreeLover manages to heal up with that little bit of respite and split the group up a little bit, getting good damage into that one player there. Fantastic riposte on the attack from him. And unfortunately, the other players quickly jumping on top of TreeLover. A fantastic direction change with the rapier, forcing the turnaround, and then he throws down the ice shower into the ice storm, managing to catch one player, but taking a ton of damage. I think he had a little bit of a misclick going for the food there, and TreeLover gets caught really low HP, but he's got the down player in the back there, goes for the flesh through everybody into the roll, dodging the hammer attack, and then gives the down player a poke. Moving back to the other side of the fight. Great movement in this fight, forcing these guys to chase him and run around, and then trapping them again with that ice storm. The enemy players throw the gravity well down, but that's not going to help. TreeLover's got them trapped in the damage. One player going down to the AoE there, and now he's got just one enemy player left. This guy just starts swinging his great axe. A fantastic riposte from TreeLover there into a few pokes with the rapier. Fantastic stuff dealing with the pressure. Now, moving on to the next fight, we've got Billdozer, and he's playing an Ice Gauntlet Firestaff full mage build, and he's chasing a few yellow players into this area here. The first player turns around with the spear and hits him with the counter stun. Billdozer right away backs up, throws down a few Firestaff attacks into the AoE, and then he just quickly heals up here, and he's a little patient. There's three players sitting inside here, and I love what he does. All three players busy fighting a mob in there. He throws down the ice storm on top of everybody. They don't know that he's there, so they're just taking a huge amount of damage, and by the time they turn around, two players down just like that. A fantastic trap with the gauntlet, catching all those yellow players off guard. Now moving on to the next fight, we've got Zabek, and he is playing some Ice Gauntlet Rapier as well, and he comes by a poor yellow player getting chased down by a group of Syndicate, and Zabek sees his fellow man in trouble. He turns around, pulls out his Ice Gauntlet and gets ready, throws down the AoE storm to snare everybody, trying to allow his friendly player to get away, and he manages to put a ton of damage into the first player that gets trapped in the snare, and then hits him with the heavy attack and brings that player down. It looks like Zabek also managed to rescue his friendly player there. I don't see the guy on the ground, so I think he got away. And Zabek right away taking a lot of pressure. He's got a lot of damage on his build, but he's fairly squishy, forced into the entomb there just to tank out and heal a little bit, and then he right away throws down his ice storm and the immobilize from the ice shower, just kind of giving himself a bit of space, but he's in a tricky spot here, getting attacked by ranged opponents, very low hit points, managing to connect with the enemy player there that's lower on hit points as well. And now he's just got one enemy player left. He throws down his own counter ice storm on the enemy, and then they're just feeding each other the Ice Gauntlet heavy attacks. Zabek switches to his rapier, trying to get on top of this guy, and he just kites out hard, goes for a big incinerate with his Firestaff. Zabek actually taking quite a lot of damage and the burn there, but he manages to connect the last few attacks with the Ice Gauntlet and wins the fight and saves his friendly player. And now for the next fight, we've got Prismatic Arc also playing that Ice Gauntlet Rapier combo. Such a great all-around PvP build. and right away he's got 2 enemy players jumping on top of him. He gets a great trap with the ice shower into the ice storm, putting a lot of damage on that first player, and then going for the flesh into the backstab, and I think he definitely scared him with that damage. The enemy player jumps off the edge. Prismatic chases him, goes for the heavy attack off the rapier into the riposte, trying to get the counter on him. Unfortunately, the enemy player just holds the attack, but Prismatic gets another fantastic trap with the ice storm into the ice shower, and the heavier armor player just melts in the pressure. He cannot escape it. And now he's got 2 yellow players that have shown up, and they're shooting projectiles at him. A guy poking him with the rapier, but what Prismatic did was he ate some food and then went into the entomb so he could heal up from the food while in the entomb. And then a fantastic trap with the ice shower again into the ice storm. A beautiful flesh getting behind that player and then finishing him off. And now he's got just 1 enemy player left. There you see he goes for his stun, and Prismatic goes for the counter riposte, gets a great stun on the spear player. The flesh through to jump on top of the spear player, also getting the kill on the down player there. And then he gets a great trap with the ice shower again. Just great execution of that very brutal lockdown combo. And finally, for the last fight today, we've got Don't Wake Dad. He's playing some great axe and hatchet, and he finds himself fighting a lot of green players outside of Cutlass Keys. He's got this little ball in the sand here to kind of work around as terrain. A great roll dodge there, and goes for the gap closer on the hatchet. The little bit of stagger on that gap closer too, and Don't Wake Dad gets great damage into the first player with the staff there, but he finds himself taking a lot of pressure from these other players, heading back towards his little bit of terrain that he has for safety here, taking a bit of cover from the ranged projectiles, and he just eats up some food to regenerate health, goes for his potion as well, and then he gets into the berserk right away, jumping back on top of the enemy staff wielder. This guy switches to his hatchet, goes for his berserk as well. Don't Wake Dad actually bringing him down to 1 hit point there, and the enemy player's hatchet save just protecting him from the death, but Don't Wake Dad staying very aggressive. He throws down the gravity well, finally trapping the enemy player inside of it, and connects with the great axe to finish him off. That excellent lunge distance, and then he heads back behind the ball there, just healing up and then jumping on top of the enemy archer right away. He goes for pressure with his great axe. I really like how he's using the light armor dodge roll combined with the lunge on the great axe. He's using it really well to move around these players. A fantastic little split to the side, and then the hatchet lunge to get on top of the enemy archer. And Don't Wake Dad doing his best to put the pressure into this guy, but he's got that other enemy player just kind of hacking at him from behind. And Don't Wake Dad again gets a great trap with the gravity well, going for a lot of pressure on the enemy archer, tries to connect with the gap closer on the great axe there. Unfortunately, the enemy player getting the dodge just in time, but Don't Wake Dad just staying right on his tail. There we see a good connection with the hatchet gap closer as well into the stagger. This guy trying hard to heal up. He's saved by that hatchet passive that saves you from death. So that's the second player that's been saved by it. And a fantastic light attack there into the reap pull to finish that guy off. A lot of range on that reap attack. And now it's just Don't Wake Dad and the last enemy player left. And this guy has got some bulk. So this is going to be a difficult fight for Don't Wake Dad because he's actually in light armor. So if he just goes for the mutual exchange, I don't think he'll win. So he's got to do his best to kind of dodge around the enemy player here and then hit him with as much pressure as he can with a good combo. There you see he tries to get the reap, and unfortunately the enemy player gets into the block, but the enemy player not managing his stamina. Don't Wake Dad breaking the stamina and putting some good damage into him. That's exactly what he needs to win this exchange, and this guy tries to get out of there. Don't Wake Dad throwing the gravity well down again with a fantastic heavy attack off the great axe to break the opponent's block. The hatchet does not have a strong block, and the great axe does a lot of block damage, so he can very easily drop that player's block if he's on the wrong bar. And right away, the enemy archer, I think, ends up coming back. Don't Wake Dad switching targets. Definitely a good call. This other player here is very, very tanky, and he right away gap closes towards the archer, trying to get on top of him. The enemy player there doing a good job kiting him. Don't Wake Dad finding himself taking a lot of damage from that enemy archer, and he's forced back to his one safety spot that he has here, just healing up as quick as he can. The enemy player coming around the corner with the hatchet, a good dodge to get a little bit more healing off the food, and it looks like a third green player has come into the fight here as well. Don't Wake Dad just doing a good job kind of kiting out, using the ball to LOS these guys. He goes away from it and then quickly peels back towards it and goes around the side of it, and he kind of forces these guys to come into melee distance. A fantastic trap again with the gravity well, just using it to the best advantage that he can while he's outnumbered. Really good distance on that gap closer there, actually connecting on the reap too. A ton of range on that skill, and Don't Wake Dad just about getting the kill on this enemy archer. He quickly jumps on top of him again. A good connection with the hatchet gap closer, and then hits him with the last attack. I believe he has the hatchet gap closer leveled up, so he gets the immobilize when he hits from behind like that. And he brings another player down, catching this guy in the gravity well, putting some pressure in, and then right away getting out of there, healing up, and using that light armor dodge roll to just kite around this much tankier player while he stays on top of the enemy healer. A fantastic pull with the reap there. This guy blows all of his stamina on those dodges and opens himself up to getting hit by that great axe to finish him off. And now it is back to just this enemy tank player here. Don't Wake Dad doing his best to just keep the pressure on top. He's got his hatchet out, but you can see the mutual exchange not going the best for Don't Wake Dad. He rolls out of it, switches to the great axe, gets a good counter stun on the player, and then throws the gravity well down to just keep forcing the pressure here. The enemy player holding block a lot. Don't Wake Dad, you can see, with a huge heavy attack, even on the sword and board, dealing about 70% block damage to this guy. He cannot afford to get caught with that block down, and he kind of forces the enemy player to play without the block here by putting the heavies in. The tanky player has resorted to his own hatchet to try to put the pressure in Don't Wake Dad. Again, the tankier player winning the exchange simply because I think that's what heavy armor is going to be better at. Don't Wake Dad quickly kites out though, heals up, and then re-engages, and he's just moving in circles around this guy, catching him with the gravity well again, and just trying to hold him in place. There we see that last heavy attack connecting to finish him off, wore that guy out of all that he had, and then finishing the last player off with the light attack there. And a cheer for everybody watching. What a fantastic fight. Alright guys, so I've actually got one last bonus clip for you guys today. And I really wanted to include this clip, even though it's a little bit longer than the bonus clip should be, simply because it is a fantastic clip of just that low-level PvP experience. Something that was a lot of fun during the beginning of New World, and now that everybody's kind of hitting level 60, I think this is a type of PvP combat that will become a lot more rare for people to enjoy, and you'll have to level up a little bit more. But that being said, the beginning of the game was definitely a treat. And sleepyz has got a clip here for us showing off some musket and spear, a very interesting combo. So I hope you guys enjoy as we say goodbye. Again, a massive thank you and shout out to everybody who sent in clips for the top 5. You can find links to their YouTube and Twitch channels down in the description, and I encourage you guys to check out these creators. And of course, if you want to send in your own clip for the top 5, you can send that to Kristofer at pvpnewworld.com. Speaking of which, check out my website, pvpnewworld.com. It's got written guides to all of the builds that I post, and it's got a bunch of information on the game there as well. Give me a follow on Twitch if you guys want to catch some live gameplay from me, and give me a follow on Twitter if you want to keep up to date with what's going on with me. This show is sponsored by What the Fast. They're a VPN for gamers. They can give you better ping to your favorite games, free to try for the first month. There's a link down below to that for you guys. And then last but not least, a massive thank you and shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show and allowing me to do this job. I'm so happy that we finally got to get this first episode out. I really hope that you guys all enjoyed. It was a pleasure to watch the gameplay from the community, and I am looking forward to a lot more in the future. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Have a great night everyone, and I'll see you next time.